Hello everyone, welcome to Helium 10's International Shipping Module. This is Burak Yolga. I'm the founder of ForceGet International Logistics and Supply Chain. Today's video, I will be explaining you 4 different chapters. I lived in China 8 years and I have been running an international logistic and fulfillment company last 7 years. I have a lot of experience in Amazon shipments, fulfillments, sourcing, and many other topics that we will be discussed today. So the first chapter we will be talking about the Incoterms, understanding the Incoterms before you place the order. What's the difference between FOB, EXWORK, and DDP? We will be talking about the communication with your suppliers, how to understand the Amazon FBA labels, the DDPs, and more importantly, how to pick up the cargoes, how to pick up the parcels, small parcels or full containers, and what to ask your freight forwarders. So let's get started. The first thing I would like to mention to you will be the Incoterms. A lot of companies, they are talking to their suppliers, and when they place the order, the factory is asking whether they want to get the EXWORK or FOB pricing or DDP. It's a new Incoterm that a lot of small Amazon sellers or new beginners like to use it. However, I do not recommend you to use this Incoterm when you place the order for the first time, because then you cannot actually see what is the product fee, like what is the actual unit cost, because the DDP is include the tax and duty, the insurance cost, and international shipping pricing. This is why you should be considering about using FOB and EXWORK. And what's the difference between FOB and EXWORK? EXWORK means when you place the order, your factory is only in charge of producing the product and leave the product in the factory door. So we have a lot of questions when we start shipping process with Amazon sellers. They're asking me, what is the way of shipping? Who's going to pick up the products from the factory? How the communication is going to be? Or if the factory will be taking the product to the port. So the answer to this is the freight forwarders can easily communicate with the suppliers and arrange the deliveries and pick up from the factory to the port, either by sea or by air. So this is something that you shouldn't be worried about. However, if you choose the FOB fee, then your factory will be adding the local fees. It doesn't matter if it's from China, Vietnam, or Mexico. Basically, your factory will be in charge of paying the local fees. So in some point, your factory will be the one who's producing the product, and your freight forwarder will be the one who's in charge of the transportation, as well as the taking the product from factory to port, handle the custom documents. So you need to be understanding if you are choosing EXWORK versus FOB, the only difference is for each unit, like per unit, per product, you are in charge of the local fees. And if you're curious about what's the local fees, let's give an example. If you're shipping headphones, and if you order 1,000 units, and then if you have 10 units for each carton, basically it makes 100 cartons. And in 100 cartons, if you are paying $1,000 international shipping fee from port to port, then you will be paying around $200 China local fee, such as like export fees, like seaport or airport fees, and your freight forwarder will be including all these fees. And more importantly, your factory will not be covering if it is EXWORK. This is why in the beginning of your order, the factory will be asking you, what is the trade terms you're asking? So if you want to know purely product cost only, without any shipping or any custom clearance, other fees, then you need to ask your supplier to give you EXWORK fee. This is include nothing, only the production. They pack, they put it on the cartons or pallets, and then they deliver it. So this is the difference between FOB and EXWORK. When it comes to shipping from China and Mexico, there are so many questions for us, like if it is different. The difference between shipping out from China or Mexico is the time frame, obviously, cost, and more importantly, transportation method. The most common transportation method is from China is by air, by sea. We see some delays at the moment due to the Red Sea problems right now. And then the actual shipping times between 30 to 35 days or 40 days from port to port by ocean. If you are shipping out of Mexico, then shipping out, like export process, is a little bit more difficult than China. and it's gonna cost probably it's gonna cost around 10 to 12 days shipping from Mexico to USA. The shipping cost, China, it's a little bit cheaper than actual Mexico shipments because the trucks have limited capacity versus the container. So if you're looking at shipping a full container from China to US right now to Los Angeles, around $3,500 to $4,000 versus full truck from Mexico to USA, depending on the state you're shipping. But let's say you're sending out the shipment to North California, like San Francisco, you'll be paying $6,000, $7,000. So maybe production can be cheaper in Mexico, but then the shipping cost might be a little bit higher. So that's why you need to understand what is the unit cost in China or Mexico or any other marketplace. What's the shipping fee per unit or per kilogram from China or Mexico versus and the transit time. So these are the three important things you should be careful about. We hear a lot of questions when you place an order. If you're shipping out products from China to US, to Amazon FBA directly, and you create your shipment, and then you're asking to get the FBA labels, shipping labels from Amazon. You download them, then you can send it to your factory. Your factory will be applying those labels for free generally because it's much cheaper. I don't recommend you to send these labels to your freight forwarder because the freight forwarder does not know what is inside the box. And somehow if you are ordering a lot of SKU, then the freight forwarder can make a mistake to put the wrong FBA label on the wrong carton. So you need to be very careful. And if I were you, I would ship the cartons. If I were you, I would choose the labels to be labeled in the factory versus in the freight forwarder's warehouse in China. And who will pick up the cartons? This is something we get to be asked a lot. And generally, freight forwarders go to pick up the cargo from the factory. This is a very common thing. Most of the people, they sometimes get confused. If I'm going to use an independent international logistic company, who's going to be in charge of the pickup, the shipping? Do I need to contact my factory to you so that the factory can go deliver the goods? No, most likely the factories will ask the freight forwarder to come and pick up from the door. Even if FOB, if your supplier is paying for this, then it doesn't really matter because the factory will pay all these local fees to your freight forwarder. So you'll be paying freight forwarder only either port to port or door to door part. We get a lot of questions when people are starting new. They're generally asking what to ask the freight forwarder. One of the things that I highly recommend you to ask them is whether they have NVOCC license. It's called NVOCC. This is a license, especially if you're shipping to the United States. This is a required license for the freight forwarders to have to operate legally in the United States. If your freight forwarder don't have that, then even if they are quoting you very cheap, it means that they're using another partner. You don't know who's that partner. They don't have tracking. They don't share you the shipping documents, the tax documents. So you never know what kind of product they declare, how much is the value. So your product might be under risk. So that's why you should be very careful when you work with a freight forwarder. You need to understand how much they're quoting you, what is included. Most of these freight forwarders in China, they charge you upfront. And when your shipment delivered to the destination, then they will be asking more money. They're like, oh, the duty is higher, this higher, that higher. So you need to be very careful before you choose the freight forwarder. You should read their reviews. You should ask their referrals, references, Google reviews, maybe if they're selling on freightos.com or not. Or you can visit hub.helium10.com to find the right partners that Helium10 approves. So this is the part when you place the order, you should understand before you start the shipping process, what is the right trade term for you to choose, who's going to contact the supplier, how they're going to arrange the pickup, how they're going to ship it. Most of the time, you don't really need to do anything. Only you need to choose the shipping method. Like, is it going to be air? Is it going to be by sea? I'm going to explain them a little bit later. If you're shipping samples, then probably you need to use like Express, FedEx, UPS, DHL, but most of the agents in China, they have a good discount rates, so you can do that. If you're shipping out of South America, your main option most probably will be truck, especially if you're using Mexico, let's say, or any other South American country, or, you know, as you know, North America, Mexico. Labels, FBA labels and pallet labels, SKUs should be labeled by your factory. Never ask for a DDP price when you place the order. If you want your factory to do DDP, at least get the agent information. Because if your product's stuck or late, your factory may stop taking the responsibility and they don't answer you. This way you can speak to this freight forwarder directly, ask their office address, their website, if they are part of any association. I see that a lot of companies, they're advertising in Facebook to find some customers, but never trust those companies who don't have a NVOCC license. And the question you can ask your freight forwarder, get the contact information, the business cards, website, referrals, and absolutely you need to not pay them up front, because if you pay them up front, and if something goes wrong, then they can stop just answering you and say, hey, we're sorry, the shipment is rejected, the shipment is coming back, shipment is lost, and they never take responsibility. So this is extremely important. Let's continue with some important topics such as transit times, shipping lines versus freight forwarders. We get a lot of questions. What is shipping line? What's the freight forwarder? So the shipping lines are, we call them carriers, and shipping lines such as airlines. You know, if you want to fly somewhere with Turkish Airlines or Emirates, United Airlines, American Airlines, these are the actual carriers. These are the companies who owns airplanes or charters, such as in Asia, some shipping lines such as Evergreen, OOCL, Zim. All these companies, they own or operate their own container vessels, so they're called shipping lines. Freight forwarders are companies like FORSGET who have the license to operate as non-vessel operator. That's exactly what NVOCC means, actually. So basically, if a company do not own any container vessels or airplanes, then we can act as independent logistic company, freight forwarders. So this is making us freight forwarders. So when you work with a freight forwarder directly, make sure that they're licensed. This is very important. How does it affect to choose the correct freight forwarder? And more importantly, how do you think they choose the correct carrier? The answer in here is the price. So I know that when you work with a freight forwarder, let's say from China, the first thing you ask, okay, I have this product, I have 100 cartons, each carton is 10 kilogram, and total we're looking at 1,000 kilogram. What's the price? Most of them, they give you a kilogram price, DDP. That's how they charge, because they basically collect many different products, cartons from different factories, from different trade companies to put it inside one container. It's called consolidate, and then they ship it. They do the custom clearance on behalf of the customers. They bring it to the warehouse, they break down, and then they ship it either to the 3PLs or the Amazon. So this is called DDP, duty delivery paid. However, there's some risks about this, especially if you don't know who's the importer of record. So basically, who is the importer at the destination in the US or Europe, UK. And if you don't know this company, you don't get the entry summaries of the customs. So they sometimes use very low prices. They use a different HTS code. HTS code is something that is used to determine the product's tax and duty. So FORSGET can provide you free HTS code audit if you like. And when you have a small shipment, they give you kilogram price, you ship it, and you never have the tracking, you never have the bill of lading. Bill of lading is a document where it shows who's owner of the cargo, what's the added value, what is the product description. So these are very important documentation that you should be keeping for the future in case you have any sort of inspection. And when you have all these documents, in case in the future, if you want to exit the business, you want to sell the business, it's very important to have all the shipping documents, import documents. It's very important. So I know that Kevin King talked about a little bit shipping methods. I want to talk about a little bit transit times, because it's going to affect your Amazon success. If you know when your shipment departs, when it's arriving, your freight forwarders may be like just telling you, okay, it's 30 days, 35 days, 40 days. But it's important to work with a freight forwarder who you can track the shipments with, because that's going to affect your PPC budget, PPC bidding, activating, deactivating the coupons, many other marketing ways. You don't want to run out of inventory, or you don't want to order too many quantity. So this is why it's very important to work with a freight forwarder who can offer you these all international shipments tracking. This is extremely important. And when you work with a freight forwarder, always ask them to give you a breakdown. The reason why I'm saying that, if you don't have the breakdown, same as you produce when you manufacture a product, if the product is part of like 5-6 different pieces, you want to know each product's value. Like if you order a cocktail shaker set, you want to know what's the stainless steel shaker price. You want to know the bamboo bottom stand price. You want to know the master carton price or like product box price. Because if your factory in the future tells you, oh, the product price increase, you can ask like why, which element, which material price increase. Is it stainless steel is more expensive? Is it bamboo? So this way you can understand if they're actually telling you the truth or not. Same with the freight forwarders. You can ask them, what is the real cost of making? What's the real cost of shipping? What's the real cost of custom clearance, last mile delivery? Maybe if there's a middle warehouse in the between, or the HTS codes. Anytime the freight price increase or decrease, you can ask what's the real reason. Also, you should be asking about to buy insurance, because the transit time for the air between 8 to 12 days versus for ocean, it could be between 30 to 40 days, depending on the carrier again you're working with. And you need to understand the breakdown of this.
Anh chị đang bán hàng trên Amazon. Skyrock cung cấp các dịch vụ dành cho các nhà bán hàng trên Amazon với mức giá cực kỳ ưu đãi như đăng ký brand với USPTO, từ Helen Hand, từ chương Scout, logistics và warehouse. Xem hình thông tin chi tiết dưới phần mô tả nhé.
Transit time, breakdown of this, breakdown of the transit time, breakdown of the prices. So also working with a freight forwarder who's NVOCC licensed and WCA member. WCA means World Carrier Association. So it means that your freight forwarder is part of a carrier association where you could actually find their contact information openly on the web. So this way you want to make sure that your product is safe with the carriers. So this is the transit time. If you're looking at the ocean freight versus air, obviously the cost in the ocean is cheaper, but the transit time is higher. If you're in the fourth quarter, you're going to place an order, or you have a seasonal item. Let's say you want to catch Mother's Day, you want to catch Father's Day or Valentine's Day. You're selling like Christmas items. If you're running late in the inventory, I highly recommend you to do maybe 20-80 rule, where you can ship like 20% by air and the remaining 8% by sea. And highly recommended to buy insurance. If you buy an insurance, your freight forwarder needs to provide you the policy with your company name, the product value. Generally, the insurance value is a little bit less than 1%. So if you're ordering $100,000 worth of product, or let's say $10,000 worth of product, your insurance is going to be very cheap. It's going to be around maybe $80 to $60. So if you are ordering like a higher value product, you should definitely order insurance. It's very important. And when the shipment arrives to the destination, then you need a custom broker to clear the custom. If you don't have a custom broker, you can either Google it or you can ask us, and you will need to give your freight forwarder, if you're not doing DDP, if you do DDP, your freight forwarder will clear the custom and release the shipment. But if you are doing DDU, duty delivery unpaid, then you will be working with the freight forwarder plus a custom broker, or your freight forwarder can recommend your custom broker. This way they can clear the custom on behalf of you. You need to get a bond. A bond is sort of a certification that you're allowed to import products from any country. Like it doesn't have to be China. Even if you order product from Brazil, Turkey, UK, Canada, you still need to have a custom bond to import, or your freight forwarder can buy this for you, or they can do the import on behalf of you. And custom brokerage is something that very technical, but you need to give your custom broker or freight forwarder power of attorney. It's called POA. It's a simple form that you need to fill out, send to custom broker so they can clear the custom. And your invoice and pack list needs to have HTS code. It's called harmonized code, where it defines the rate of the duties and tax according to the product description. It's extremely important. You should be communicating with your freight forwarder to understand what's the tax and duty value of your product. if you import $10,000 of worth of product, and if you have 25% China duty plus 7.5% regular duty, then you will be paid almost 32.5 to 33% tax and duty. So if you have $10,000 worth of inventory, you will be paying $3,300. So this could be an extra additional charge for your product. Before you place an order, you should ask your supplier what is the HTS code. Ask them to provide you this information. Once they provide you this information, you can calculate your landing cost better. And of course, you should confirm that with your freight forwarder and their custom broker, because sometimes the factory code could be wrong. They maybe use a different code to export in their country. But more importantly, if you want to place a bigger order, if you're going to order like bigger quantity, maybe oversized item, if you're shipping a full container, you definitely need to check that. We had a case, our customer was importing coffee tables, and they had 25% duty and tax. And his invoice value was like very low, actually, $30,000. But then he had to pay $7,000, but he was thinking that this product is duty-free. So this is why you should be really careful when you place the order with your factory, get all this information. So unit cost, when you're working with profit calculator on Helium 10, you will be seeing the product purchase cost, Amazon FBA fees, the shipping fees, etc., etc. And then you should be understanding whether that shipping costs include tax and duty, whether that's include your additional fees that will be charged after the import. Extremely important. Most of the companies, they're having a problem cash flow nowadays, and because of the landing fee wrong calculation, because the margins are tight. So it's important to understand your full landing cost, and tax and duty is something that a lot of people, they sometimes misunderstand. So you can definitely consult your freight forwarder to get more information. So your shipment is already in the US or the other marketplaces that you want to sell, let's say in Canada or Europe, UK. The next thing you should be considering is whether your shipment will be going to Amazon FBA directly, or you're going to work with a 3PL. So I know that Kevin King explained you the options in here. And what I can recommend you is to consider both options, because if you are launching a brand new product, if it is your first time shipping to Amazon FBA, it could be a little tricky. The reason is you don't know if your product arrived to the destination in good shape, maybe your cartons damaged or not. Amazon is very sensitive to receive the products in a very good condition, very good shape. So this is something that Kevin mentioned, to start checking whether your product is in a good condition to be delivered to Amazon. Another thing, you should be understanding how these products will be delivered and when. There are a lot of freight forwarders from China that they do not have a license to operate in the United States. So this can cause them to delay of Amazon appointments, because Amazon is asking freight forwarders to make an appointment before they deliver to the fulfillment centers. Amazon has almost close to 90 fulfillment centers within the United States, plus AWD, Amazon Warehouse Distribution. And what people are doing in here is in order to deliver those locations, carriers must make an appointment with Amazon. So most of the time, what I know is when a freight forwarder from China, they have a partner in the United States, they bring all the product together, they deliver it in one time, and sometimes your product label is exceed the time of the delivery. So now Amazon is giving only 60 days for the international shipments or windows. So once you create your shipping labels, you need to deliver the product to Amazon. So please do not create your Amazon FBA labels before your shipment's ready, because then if you create your shipments too early before the inspection, you send the factory, they apply it, but then when it comes to the shipping, maybe you find some problem in the inspection, then you're gonna wait additional 3 weeks, then shipping is gonna take like 6 weeks, and you exceed like total of 9 weeks. So you basically will be losing, so that shipment will be closed, so you cannot deliver to Amazon FBA. This is why you should be very careful when you place the order. You need to understand how long it's gonna take, and when the shipment is actually ready to send, then you should create the FBA labels and make sure that the shipment is paid already, you're ready to send the product. So this is the Amazon part. And when it comes to using Amazon, except Amazon, When it comes to using 3PL, that's a good option because we are talking about new Amazon's low replenishment fees. When it comes to considering using 3PL, Amazon launched some new rules, and we are looking at to use some 3PL options, if it is a good option or not. So if you're a new seller, you don't want to ship all your products to Amazon FBA because you don't have a sales history yet. Your sales might start slow. You might want to do some giveaways to get ranking, outside traffic, Amazon PPC. Then by the time you start selling it, then you can do partial shipments to Amazon FBA. That's always a good idea because this way you can manage your Amazon inventory stock level good. You don't over exceed the stock, and then you don't pay too much. And when the shipment checks into Amazon 3PL, like when the shipment checks into a 3PL, obviously there's extra cost. So you need to build that cost into your product cost landing fees, right? And the way you ship products from your 3PL to Amazon is either UPS or LTL. So UPS is a small parcel, SPD. It's called small parcel delivery. It's much faster because Amazon also scans those labels much easier and receive them as loose cartons. However, the price will be more expensive with the UPS. Versus if you ship bulkier item, if you ship bigger quantity, let's say 20 to 24 pallets, 20 to 24 cartons each pallet capacity. So you could send the orders onto the pallets, and then the pallets can be delivered to Amazon. It's called LTL. So you can choose both Amazon partner carriers or independent logistic companies such as Forceget, who has carrier central account. And when the shipment delivered to Amazon FBA, then you will be collecting bill of lading. You need to keep that proof of delivery because in case if your product is lost, then you need to start reimbursement process, which Forceget have another company called refundget.com. So you can use refundget.com to Forceget has a different company also called refundget.com. So if your shipment is lost, we have the commercial invoice packing list because we ship the product. We know the bill of lading. We have the proof of delivery. So if your shipment is lost, you can create a reimbursement service with Forceget, which is called refundget.com. This way we can track your reimbursement. Amazon, unfortunately, losing a lot of shipments when they check into the warehouses because they are transferring all those products. So a lot of Amazon sellers, they think that when the shipment delivered to Amazon FBA, they're going to immediately check in. However, this process is very different. So let's start talking about a little bit Amazon FC transfer. What is it, how long it takes, and how to start. So you successfully deliver the products to Amazon FBA and FC transfer time starts. So if you go to Seller Central account under the Manage Inventory, under the shipments, you can see the number of shipments you have. And if you click some of them, you can see that the total quantity you ship, let's say 400 units, versus how many Amazon checked in, 380, for example, that 20 cartons are missing if the shipment is in the closed status. So this is extremely important for you to understand. When you deliver 380 units to 1 or 3 Amazon fulfillment center, Amazon normally distributes to the nationwide more fulfillment centers. That's how Prime members in the US can order a product and they can receive it within 1 day. Amazon algorithms know which ASIN, which SKU is sold in which place better. So that's why if you deliver Amazon probably like a beach umbrellas, then Amazon is going to be sending most of these items to the southeast or southwest part of the United States because most of the people in maybe north of the country will not need beach umbrella as much as they need in Florida or Texas or like warmer places, right? So this is important for you to understand how Amazon algorithm works, how Amazon fulfillment centers work, because that's going to affect your success in Amazon. The reason why I'm telling you this is when we deliver the products to Amazon FBA has checking times. So these checking times can be between 30 days to 90 days. And then this checking time before it finally closes, if the shipment has not been closed yet, then your products will not be fully eligible to ship out. So basically, if you ship 500 units, headphones, you send them to Amazon 1st of April, the shipment checks in completely let's say 1st of June, then it takes Amazon to transfer all those units and make it become available to fulfill, then your entire inventory will become available. And if you're running out of inventory, if you're selling fast, you see that the products are between FC transfer not available, then you can see the reasons why is that. This is very important. If you want to see that, you need to go to Seller Central and then available inventory. If you click on each number, then on the bottom, there will be a new screen. The window will be pop up and then you can see available, unavailable, transfer and processing. So you can see what is going on with your inventory. After hopefully successfully delivered to Amazon, if there's any units are disappeared or lost, you can contact us for your reimbursement. Or if your shipment is successfully sold and if you need to do returns, then ForceGet can help you as well for the returns. So basically, if you're thinking about using Amazon Global Logistics, it's an option. They have a lot of advantages and disadvantages. You should be doing some Google research why and how you can use or not. You shouldn't use Amazon Global Logistics and AWD. Amazon has its own services when it comes to international shipments for the domestic UPS and LTL shipment option with partner carriers. You can use that as well. Or you could go to hub.helium10.com to find a freight partner for Amazon companies who need like a fulfillment service, reimbursement, international shipment. Basically, we're talking about like a full supply chain all the way from the factory to Amazon. And then when you sell it, make an order again from the factory and then place a new order. So today's video, I wanted to explain you the entire process from the time the shipment is ready, how to choose which Incoterm is better for you, preparing the Amazon FBA labels, who's going to pick and what to ask the freight forwarder. The transit times, what is the advantage, disadvantages, ocean freight versus sea, or ocean freight versus air freight, the transit times versus prices. Kevin King also mentioned about that. And choosing the correct insurance and freight broker, custom broker. How to make Amazon appointment, why tracking number, getting the correct documentation from your freight forwarder when it's delivered to Amazon is extremely important. Why you should be using or why you shouldn't be using 3PL, and how to understand the actual landing cost is extremely important. And more importantly, Amazon's new rules about low inventory stock fees, FC transfer fees, if the shipment is lost, how to work, who to work with, and if the shipment is successful delivered and you successfully sell the product, if you should be creating a return, like a return, as well as either dispose those items if it is not worth to do returns, or if it is resellable, if you have an expensive product, work with a freight forwarder who has a warehouse in the correct countries that you work in, you're selling, such as Canada, US, UK, then you can ask these logistic partners to handle your returns. And if the items are resellable, you can either sell them as used on Amazon or eBay or the other marketplaces, or you can use them as a disposed unit, because if it is not worth it, make sense to repack them, send it, ship it. This is expensive, especially in the United States, to repack a product, resell it if you're shipping or if you're selling like a cheap item. So this was like the journey of the product for your Amazon first shipment. Hopefully it was you're gonna have a successful shipment. But if you have any further questions, you can contact us at sales@forceget.com or sales@refundget.com. Thank you so much.
Anh chị đang bán hàng trên Amazon. Skyrock cung cấp các dịch vụ dành cho các nhà bán hàng trên Amazon với mức giá cực kỳ ưu đãi như đăng ký brand với USPTO, từ LIệN, từ cho Scout, logistics và warehouse. Xem hình thông tin chi tiết dưới phần mô tả nhé.